welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty wild, Project Symbiont.
Yeah, definitely out there.
We're looking ahead, way ahead, to 2145. Imagine a world where, well, your body's almost a closed-loop system. Hunger, basically gone. Waste, almost nothing.
It sounds like science fiction, but the source material lays out a fascinating blueprint.
Exactly. So this deep dive, it's all about how this kind of tech could just fundamentally change every human life, how we digest, maybe even, society itself.
And our mission here, as always, is to cut through the complexities, give you the key takeaways. We'll unpack the biotech, the biology behind Symbiont, look at the implications.
And the human side, too, right? The psychology, the social stuff.
Absolutely. It's a journey into a really different way of being. We've pulled some, frankly, mind-bending details from the sources for you.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, let's start with the basics. The mechanics. What is Project Symbiont really? What's it for?
Right. So, Project SYMBIONT, that stands for Synthetically Yielded Biometabolic Interface for Optimal Nutrient Transformation. Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, just a bit.
But essentially, it's a highly developed biotech implant and food system from 2145, its main goal, to create a near closed-loop metabolic cycle.
Closed-loop.
Think of your body, but running like this super efficient, self-contained ecosystem, almost zero waste. Hunger just isn't really a thing anymore. It allows for near total nutrient use and dramatically less waste. It fundamentally changes how humans use energy and live.
Yeah, huge. A body that doesn't waste anything. How did that even work? What's the core piece of tech?
It starts with something called the Symbiont Core implant. And it's not just a gadget. It's described as a subdermal nanobiotic organ.
An organ, like grown. Or built?
Seems like a bit of both. Nanobiotic. It sits near the stomach and liver, and it's designed to work with your existing organs, not just replace them. Its job is constant analysis. It reads your daily biofeedback, nutrient levels, hormone signals, metabolic rate, you name it.
All in real time.
All in real time. And based on that data, it releases very specific, tailored enzymes in these tiny nanonutrient packages, exactly when and where needed. But here's the really revolutionary part. It actively recycles stuff, excess amino acids, minerals, glucose, before your body marks them for excretion.
So it catches waste before it's even waste.
Precisely. Our bodies now, they're kind of leaky, metabolically speaking.
Yeah.
Symbiont basically plugs those leaks. It intercepts the metabolic byproducts, breaks them down, reprocesses useful compounds right there at the nano level.
Yeah.
The result is, incredible efficiency. Excretion drops to almost nothing, maybe trace amounts in sweat or breath. The source really hammers this point. It reframes waste, not as inevitable, but as an engineering problem that's been solved. It pushes biology towards this ultra-efficient, almost inorganic state.
Okay, so if the Symbiont core is doing all that internal recycling and optimizing, what people eat, is it still food?
Well, food gets a total makeover. You get NutriShell food units. Think bioengineered capsules. They replace meals entirely.
Capsules, like pills.
Sort of, but way more advanced. The amazing thing is the customization. Each capsule is genetically tailored to your specific genome, your microbiome.
Your personal gut bacteria profile.
Exactly. And inside are smart nanocapsules that release nutrients on a timed basis.
And the bioavailability you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
98, 99%, that's almost perfect absorption.
Right. Compared to maybe 50, 70% today, it's a quantum leap in how efficiently we can use nutrients.
So how do you get these?
They're customized daily. You'd have a 3D bioprinting kiosk at home. It uses your latest biometric data from the Symbiont core and prints your perfect NutriShell for the day.
Automatically, no meal prep.
None. Your ideal nutrient profile just delivered.
Wild. But there's more to it, isn't there? You mentioned the gut biome.
Yes, absolutely critical. There's the microbial cofactor network. They call it GenoGut for short.
Genogut.
And this isn't just your natural gut flora. It's a genetically modified biome.
Right.
Engineered bacteria.
Engineered for what?
Specialized tasks. They recycle things like short-chain fatty acids, bile components, any micronutrients that weren't initially absorbed.
So another layer of recycling.
Exactly. But crucially, they also signal back to the Symbiont core implant. It creates this constant living feedback loop. The whole system is always optimizing itself.
That's complex.
Well, it is. And get this, the source highlights that these engineered bacteria also neutralize most toxic byproducts before they even reach your bloodstream.
Whoa. So it's like an internal detox system, too.
Pretty much. Another layer of efficiency and safety that's just way beyond what our natural gut does.
Okay, so Symbiont core recycles internally, NutriShells deliver perfect nutrients, Genogut recycles again and detoxifies.
Yeah.
What's left? Is there any waste? You mentioned hyper-minimized.
Right, not zero, but incredibly minimized, almost imperceptible. Take urea, for instance. Normally we pee it out.
Yeah.
In this system, it gets enzymatically reabsorbed, broken down, and converted back into useful amino acids.
So even urine is mostly recycled internally.
Correct. Even co-uro output is managed differently. Enhanced nanofiber membranes in the lungs alveoli make exhaling more efficient.
Okay. What about solid waste then? Poop?
It's reduced to just trace amounts of truly undigestible material. And that tiny amount, it's removed maybe once a month.
Once a month, how?
Either through something called a high-efficiency fiber purge, sounds pleasant, or maybe a simple mini dialysis-like patch worn briefly.
So bathroom breaks become a monthly event, or less.
Essentially, yes. The
Yeah.
body becomes this near-perfect closed loop.
Right.
Well, it's radically different from biology as we know it.
Radically different is right. Does the source material talk about downsides? Like, does this hyper-optimization make people less resilient somehow? Or create new problems?
That's a good question. The sources mostly focus on how it overcomes current limits. Those nanoenzymes deal with metabolic waste at the source, preventing buildup. Smart nutrient timing plus the genogut tackles incomplete absorption. The blood-filtering nanofibers keep water and ions perfectly balanced.
So it sounds like it solves a lot of existing biological inefficiencies.
It does. The key takeaway seems to be this shift from biology being inherently leaky and inefficient to becoming this incredibly precise resource-maximizing machine, which naturally leads to the big question.
What does that feel like? How does it change the experience of being in a human body when all these basic needs are just handled, engineered away?
Right. Let's try and picture it. A day in the life, 2145, with Symbiont. You wake up
And the symbiont core is already working.
instantly, scanning your biostats hormones, hydration, maybe even reading subtle cues about your emotional state from your neurochemistry. It's figuring out exactly what your body needs right now.
Okay, then what? Breakfast time.
Sort of. Based on that scan, a signal goes to your kitchen pod or whatever device handles it, and poof, it 3D bioprints your personalized Nutrishell capsule for the day.
Just like that. No cooking smells, no decisions.
No decisions needed for basic fueling, no. You just ingest the capsule.
And what's that like? Taking the capsule.
The source is clear. No taste, no smell. Just ingestion. But the absorption is immediate and precise. Your body gets exactly what the symbiont determined it needs.
And then you just go about your day.
Pretty much. Internally, though, the process is continuous. Your genogut bacteria are recycling unused bits. The symbiont core is constantly monitoring metabolic fluctuations, making tiny adjustments to your energy use, your internal balance. It's all seamless, invisible.
So you wouldn't feel hungry
Yeah.
or full or that post-lunch slump.
None of that. No hunger pangs, no energy crashes after eating, no bloating, the need to pee during the day. Gone.
And the minimal waste. You mentioned a patch.
Yeah, maybe a small patch, say on your thigh. It collects trace molecules filtered out through perspiration. The symbiont system then likely processes or recycles even that tiny amount overnight while you sleep.
It sounds incredibly efficient. Almost liberating in a way.
Yeah.
Freedom from all those biological demands.
That's how the source often frames it, liberation. But, and this is crucial, does that liberation come at a cost to the human experience?
That's the big question, isn't it? What are the ripple effects? Psychologically, socially.
Well, they're profound. Think about eating. If it's not needed for survival day to day, it becomes purely ceremonial.
Ceremonial.
Yeah, the source suggests people might only eat in a social context, maybe once a month. Everything else is automated via the Nutrishells. Food shifts from being a biological necessity to, I don't know, a ritual, an art form, maybe.
So the pleasure of eating, does it just disappear?
Not necessarily disappear, but it transforms. The sources talk about adaptations like scent rituals or gustatory simulators.
Gustatory simulators, like neural tasting.
Exactly. You could experience the neural signals of tasting complex synthetic meals without actually ingesting anything physically. The sensation divorced from the biological function.
Okay, that's one side. What about the less pleasant biological function?
Yeah, right. This is where it gets socially interesting and maybe a bit disturbing. The source indicates that in this future's elite society, natural bodily functions like peeing and pooping become, well,
Stigmatized.
highly stigmatized, viewed as primitive, a sign that you're pre-upgrade. Biological inefficiency becomes a marker of lower status.
Wow. So your biology itself becomes a status symbol, whether
Ah.
you're optimized or not.
That's the profound insight, yeah.
Yeah.
Controlling biology, achieving this engineered state, becomes a new form of social currency. It creates potentially deep divides between the upgraded and the unupgraded.
You can imagine not everyone would go for this then. Would there be resistance?
Oh, absolutely. The source mentions black markets cropping up, trading in raw food, actual non-engineered food, for people who resist the symbiont system.
A kind of biological rebellion.
You could call it that, and some take it even further. There's this phenomenon called off-loop.
Off loop.
Individuals who actively try to revert, they attempt to restore their natural gut flora, eat real food again, basically reject the symbiont system entirely.
Is that even possible or safe?
It's incredibly risky. The sources warn about severe illness, even death from microbial shock. Their engineered bodies just can't handle the complexity and, frankly, the dirtiness of the pre-symbiont biological world.
So going natural becomes dangerous.
Extremely. But it speaks volumes, doesn't it? Even with the promise of ultimate efficiency and liberation from physical constraints, there's this deep human pull towards something else. Authenticity, connection to a biological past, even if it's risky.
It really forces you to confront some deep ethical questions, philosophical ones even.
Definitely. I mean, the core question the source raises is huge. What is humanity without hunger?
Right. Hunger is such a primal driver for everything from innovation to conflict.
Exactly. If you remove that fundamental desire, that struggle, even the process of dealing with waste, what happens to motivation, to culture, to our emotional landscape? Do we lose something essential by eliminating these basic biological realities?
And then there's the control aspect. You mentioned personalized Nutri-Shells.
Yes. The ethics of food control become incredibly sharp. If your nutrition is delivered by a personalized, potentially corporate or state-controlled system,
Could they restrict your nutrient rights? Control you through your own biology? Cut off certain nutrients? Or link access to behavior?
it's a chilling possibility raised by the source material. Could this system, presented as optimization, actually be a tool for oppression?
How so? What kind of examples does the source give?
Well, imagine regimes forcing an efficiency-only nutrient mix onto workers to maximize productivity, stripping away any sense of pleasure or choice.
While the elites enjoy these simulated banquets you mentioned.
Precisely, maintaining luxury and control through biological manipulation. The stark insight here is that Symbiont, while promising freedom from biology, could introduce an even deeper form of control, weaponizing sustenance itself. Basic biological autonomy could become a privilege, not a right.
It really puts the nature of power and control under a microscope, doesn't it? Especially when technology manages fundamental needs.
It does. It forces us to think about where the lines are.
So wrapping this up for you listening, Project Symbiont paints this incredible picture, right? Almost utopian potential for human health, efficiency, freedom from biology's messy bits.
Yeah, the potential is staggering.
But it comes packaged with these really startling trade-offs, these deeply unsettling ethical questions about control, status, and what it even means to be human. It's a future where we could engineer away so much of our physical nature.
And that leaves us with a final thought, maybe a provocative one to mull over. If humanity could eliminate all physical waste, eliminate the primal need for food as we know it, what fills that void? What new desires, what new struggles, what new forms of human identity might emerge when our most basic biological drivers are silenced by technology?
What happens next? That's something to really chew on.